Okay, we've got Katie joining us now, and we're going to ask some questions of both of these people for a while about the war. Did you guys know each other before the war at all?
No.
When did you get to know each other after they came back?
It was a couple months later, I guess.
How we got together was the Reedsburg and Baraboo had a semi-pro basketball team, and they'd play back and forth, and a bunch of us girls would go to the games. That's how I.
Are you both in the same town?
No, he's
No,
from Reedsburg and I'm from Baraboo.
Oh, okay.
And she, one night at the Ritz where everybody hung out, why, my buddy was talking to the bunch of girls were sitting there and introduced us, you know. And then a few weeks later, my Baraboo came to Reedsburg to play. And this buddy of mine and I were having a drink, and you know, before playing, and she and some other girls walked in, and she says, "Hi there," you know. That was all it took.
Katie, do you remember where you were when Germany invaded Poland in 1939? Does it have any recollection?
No, I don't have any recollection of that.
How about Pearl Harbor?
Pearl Harbor, I remember. We'd go to the movies on Sunday afternoons, and they stopped the movie and said that war had been declared on the United States.
Did any of your family serve in the
No,
armed forces?
There were 4 girls in my family.
4 girls. What sort of shortages or war shortages? We know there are rationing going on.
Gas, sugar, nylons,
Shoes.
shoes. We had a friend who was in the shoe business, and he said what was it, two pair of shoes a year?
No, you could get 3. It's the best thing that ever happened because they were rationing was 3 pairs of shoes a year, up to for a family or for a person. Up to that time, he'd sell 1 pair of shoes every year or 2, but now people thought they had to buy 3.
Also, tires were rationed, weren't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I say that people are not asked to really
There were a number.
give up things in this world.
There were a number of food items too that were rationed.
Yeah.
I can't remember what all, besides sugar.
But it was enough to make a difference in your
Oh,
household?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What did you and your sisters do during the war?
Well, 2 of my sisters were still in school, and my older sister worked for the Corps of Engineers at the plant in Baraboo, and then she was transferred to Milwaukee, and I worked for Ordnance in Baraboo at Badger Ordnance Works.
So what'd you do there?
I worked in the office, payroll I think it was.
So did they make bombs there, or bullets, or everything?
Ammunition.
Powder.
Oh, they made
powder.
powder.
They made powder, all kinds.
So that's why
Grenade powder.
that's why there's a big space between the fence and the buildings.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they're tearing it
Tearing a lot of it
down
down.
now. You probably heard about. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Did you, Katie, did you have a lot of classmates that were in the service?
Hmm.
Good friends? Did you see them after they returned?
Oh yeah,
Or did many of them not return?
there were two of them that in my class that didn't return.
Who, Ed Yoss, and who's that?
Sidney Pratt and Bumgarden. You know him.
Oh, yeah, yeah, Ted, not Ted,
Not
his
Ted,
brother.
Otto.
Could you tell the difference in the guys when they came back, and how had they changed? Or did they?
No, not really. No.
Still haven't, Ed still had.
You've both mentioned that you had two sons, I think you said, that were in the service.
Yeah,
How did you view them going into the service after what you had experienced? Were they drafted? Did they join?
the oldest one joined, and the other one, Tim, was drafted.
And this was both Vietnam?
They
During
both
the-
went to Vietnam, yeah.
And Tim volunteered to go to Vietnam
Yeah, Tim volunteered,
after he got in.
and Mike was in the MPs.
And after your experience in World War II, what was your reaction when one volunteered and the other was drafted?
No reaction. I wasn't particularly happy with them going in because I'd been there, and knew what it was. But that was a whole different kind of war over there than that I fought, So
You know, my dad said exactly the same thing. How was it a different kind of war?
well, basically, it's a lot more populated. You have, you could fight from house to house, so you were protected a lot more. Whereas jungle is, geez, that's a whole different. We just watched one last night. It was,
Oh,
we were soldiers when.
Mel
when
Oh, Mel Gibson.
Yeah, I watched that. Well,
You
we
couldn't relate
fought
to
was
that.
nothing like that. No, not like that at all.
I kept thinking, why don't they fight at night instead of the daytime? When I watched that movie,
Hmm.
did
But even
any of you were any of you boys in the service?
No, Jim was, but
I mean, your brothers and you.
no, my brother was in the National Guard. He joined the National Guard. He was in the first lottery. And he got a number that they thought he would be drafted. And so he joined the National Guard. And they never got to his number. So he was in the National Guard for 6 years. I was in the second lottery. And they never got to my number.
We have a grandson that's in the National Guard. And he was in
he was in Kuwait
Kuwait.
for a year, and now I think he's scheduled to go to Iraq in February. I don't know whether he is or not. A lot can happen between now and February. So.
I find it real interesting that people you spent a relatively short period of time with in your life still make the effort to get together once a year, and that there's some kind of bond there that doesn't go away. And I've been with you a couple of times, and there are a couple of questions. One is, you never talk about the war, or very little.
No, we don't really.
So there's something there, and have you ever thought about what it is?
Well, I think what it is yeah, I thought about that a lot. I've tried to figure it out, But the people that you were in combat with, to some extent, you probably know better than ever know anybody else because you've seen them under the most extreme circumstances and how they react. You know, you don't judge them, but it just is automatic. You know, and for the most part, it's good. You know, you don't you don't hate anybody because of anything they did or didn't do, but you're just, I don't know, and it builds a closeness. That's the only thing I can, you know, it's like I said, I've thought about it a lot, and I think that's what it is. It just is, and not just combat, but even making a friend, you know, it's like I said, it's just a little different. You're not in high school anymore, you know, it's a whole different concept. So, that's about all I can think of.
Now, I've talked to my mom, Katie, about going to these reunions, and she really enjoys them. And,
Oh, I do
and she's
too.
told me why, and I'd like to know why you do before I tell you why she does.
I don't know. I just like the people. I can't give you an answer.
Because she has said that she gets a glimpse of something she hadn't got a glimpse of before.
What did she mean by that?
That, well, for example, it's not everybody that calls my dad Lieutenant Lewis.
Yeah.
And there is some of that going on. I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and some of it was in fun, I think. But I think some of it might not have been in fun. That's just what he was.
When Jack talks about people that don't know your dad, he always says, "My lieutenant."
Yeah, I do.
And this is 60 years after the fact.
I know.
Yeah.
But he'll always be Lieutenant Lewis. You know, I mean, and for the first time or two, you know, it was hard for me not to call him Lieutenant. You know, to start calling him by his first name. Now it's, you know, it's fine.
I just find that very, I mean, and I think that's the same thing my mom was talking about, that this is something where these are grown men.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's sort of like trying to, when you're 40 years old, calling your dad's sister Aunt Louise. It seems weird, but that's just the way it is. And so this was always just Lieutenant Lewis. And the other guys were the same way that were at the reunion. When I was speaking to them, they talked about your dad, Lieutenant Lewis.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Okay.
You always think of him as Lieutenant Lewis.
Do you have anything you'd like to add that you've heard that you'd like to add to from Jack's comment? This is your last chance on camera, Katie.
Do you want to tell him about Maury? And
Well, yeah, there's a lot that.
no, I mean when you this who was the one that was wounded and you
LaPlante.
no, the one that
Oh,
Maury picked
oh,
up then.
oh, Patsy, what the hell was his name? Patsy. Yeah, there's an awful lot.
Well, yeah, this is a long time ago, too.
Yeah.
And there was some other stuff going on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, you talk about everybody got along, but Maury was really mad at you.
Oh, yeah, he was madder than hell.
This is the Maury I met.
Yes.
Yeah, your dad never knew him until, he wasn't in the outfit when your dad was.
Oh, okay.
And,
He was a medic, wasn't
he was a medic.
So he was mad at you because you were his...
Oh, no, that's a long story. That's
I'm sorry I brought it.
It was bazooka accident.
Oh,
No, it's not like that. That's where the guy that replaced your dad had both his legs blown.
oh,
Maury was wounded, and two or three guys were killed. And you want the story?
if you want to tell it, I'm not here to pry or anything. If you want to tell the story, you're welcome to tell it.
That isn't the part I wanted.
I know you.
Okay,
want it.
okay.
Patsy Masterkovich was his name. It was a Ruhr River crossing. And we, see, you get into this and then you have to, and they pulled all the dams, opened them up so the Ruhr was really going heavily. It was flowing real fast. And when we went across, we didn't get we didn't get to the other shore. The current caught us and washed us down, and under a bridge that had been blowing out that I'd taken a patrol to a week or so before to see if it was passable. And anyhow, and we were going down the river, and so I said to one of those guys, jump out or put a leg out or something, see if we can stop this. So some guy did. Well, he was right on the other side of the thing that held the bridge up, and was all silted in behind that. So he stuck his foot in. We were only in about water a little over knee deep. So we all got out, and I just got the replacement in, who was the replacement from the Air Corps. And he says, I'm not going to get out of the boat. I says, then don't get out of it. Let it go, and we'll let this guy, let the Germans have target practice on you on the way down. He bailed out of it. And then we just waded up. It was only probably 20 feet, if that much, to the bridge. Climbed over the bridge. There was a wounded guy on the bridge, and we took care of him as best we could. And then I put him down so he was protected in case there were any more shells. And then we got on the shore, and this is a long story.
we got a lot to tell you.
We got onto the shore and started, going up, or going along the shore, and then a guy came along and he had 2 German prisoners, and I said, I want to see those prisoners, and because it was, no, I'll take it back. And then we heard somebody yelling medic. So went up, and it was Patsy Masterkovich, who was in our platoon. And he was laying there, and his leg was blown off, right below the knee. And he said, "Don't come in here. This is a minefield." Well, we did. We got him in and pulled him out of there, and then I stuck because any wounded, what they wanted us to do was stick a bayonet in, put the bayonet on the gun and then stick it in so the medics could find him. So we pulled it out of there. Well, he didn't have a bayonet. Patsy which brings up another story. And so,
Your meeting is awful long.
I know
It's
I am.
okay.
And I know I am, but it's but anyhow, he didn't have a bayonet, and so I just jammed it. It had been raining and it was muddy, so I just jammed the gun in and you know, and I said, and then just then this guy came by with 2 prisoners he was taking back. So I said to the prisoners, I said, lead it, you know, I wanted him to lead us across the minefield. 999. And then he pointed, and then I could see they put straw along, so to mark where the minefield was. So we we followed him around, and the guy came with us with the other prisoner, and then he took off with these 2 prisoners because we got around there, and the CP was right there, and Lieutenant Gore, and the platoon sergeant, and so on were in the CP, but then a machine gun opened up on us, shooting at the and so LaPlante, who was the lieutenant, he says, take a patrol and see if you can't get rid of that machine gun nest. So I took a patrol and went into the building from a different way, and got up to where we could see the Germans. There were 2 guys in there, and I yelled "Kamerad" at them, and they tried to turn the machine gun. Well, then one of the guys said, "Should I throw this grenade?" Hell yes, throw the goddamn grenade. And so he threw the grenade and he got it close to him, but it went off. Well, that scared the hell out of them. So they took off. You know. So then we put another grenade under the machine gun to disable that, and then went back. Well, when I got back, this took some time. I got back. Why, Maury was there, and he was madder than hell. And I says, "What the hell you know, why are you so goddamn mad at me? Well, you didn't leave me any gun." And I said, "Well, first of all, you're not supposed to be carrying a gun." He says, "But you jammed the gun, and it wasn't usable." And he ranted and raved, and then so I didn't pay any attention to him, to tell you the truth. I had nothing to do. And then we took off and we're going to clear. Well, there wasn't anybody in these buildings that we were supposed to clear, so we got to the end, and the lieutenant, or LaPlante, set up a CP. Well, it was just shortly after that we heard motors, and I thought it might be tanks coming. So I took a guy with me, and I went across the street into a high building. Went up to the top so I could see out and see if tanks were coming. Well, the sound wasn't coming from that way. It was coming from back towards the river. Then I could see back towards the river. Well, the engineers were starting to build a bridge or repair the bridge to come across. So part of the back of the building was blowing out, so I went back and everybody was standing in the building, and I was going to yell down to them not to worry about it, that they were building a bridge, and there was a hell of an explosion. And, God, I couldn't imagine what it was, because it was worse than an artillery shell. And so I ran down the stairs, and Blackburn followed me, ran over there, and the door was open, and all I could see was gray dust, bodies, and blood. That was it. And later we found out what happened is because they thought there was tanks coming, the plan had told the bazooka man to come up. Well, the bazooka man was not too bright in the first place, and so he put a bazooka in, and and he put it in live, so it wasn't disarmed. And he was standing there with it, and the catch let loose. The bazooka went down and through, and he had the rest of his bazookas in a pack, and the whole damn thing went off. Everything went off, and it wounded, I think, 13 or 14 guys. One of them was laying on the steps. There was a steps going downstairs. Both his legs were gone. The plant was bad, and then I could see Maury, I'll call him Doc. Excuse me. And I went over to him and I said, where's your morphine, Doc? And he said, it's in the bag. But he was laying there, and it looked like one of his legs wasn't gone, but it was just attached. And so I got the morphine ampules out, and I said, how do I put these in? What do I do? And he said, he's just jam it in. Just make sure you don't hit a vein. I said, well, how the hell do I know whether I'm hitting a vein or not? You know. He said, just inject it. Don't worry about it. So I injected him, and then injected 3 or 4 others there, and then I gave some to one of the guys, because by that time other people had arrived that weren't in the squad or anything. And so I gave the rest of them and said, you know how to do this, and so he did it. And the only other thing, and then I tried to pick up Maury's leg, and he screamed, so I put that back down. And then he doesn't remember this. And he said, don't touch my leg. He says, but are my balls all right?
Did you get that?
I think so. I'm not sure what it's doing.
It's still going. I think we're about out of tape, so we'll stop the story.
You know, when I'm
Go ahead.
And you